The moment someone believes they can have you anytime they want, you become worthless to them. This isn't cruelty, it's wiring. Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people refuse to accept. Value isn't determined by what you give, it's determined by what you withhold. Right now, someone in your life is losing respect for you, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're too available. And once that shift happens, reversing it becomes almost impossible, unless you understand the law we are about to reveal. You felt it before. That slow, uncomfortable realization that someone who used to chase you has stopped calling. The friend who used to make plans now waits for you to reach out. The romantic interest who once seemed captivated now replies with one-word texts. You didn't change. You were just there, always available, always willing, always saying yes. And that's exactly the problem, because in the economy of human desire, scarcity creates value. When you're abundant, you're invisible. When you're constant, you're furniture. People don't mean to devalue you. It's subconscious. Their brain categorizes you as secured. And once something is secured, the hunt ends. The dopamine drops. The fascination fades. And you're left wondering what happened, replaying every interaction, trying to figure out where you went wrong. But you didn't go wrong. You just forgot the first law of power. People fear losing what they can't control. Niccolomachiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513, and buried within its ruthless political advice was a truth about human psychology that transcends kingdoms and thrones. He observed that fear and love are both powerful, but fear lasts longer. Why? Because love is based on obligation, and humans break obligations when it's convenient. But fear is based on loss, and loss is primal. We are hardwired to avoid it. Loss aversion is one of the most studied concepts in behavioral psychology. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman proved that humans feel the pain of losing something twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining it. Think about that. Losing $10 hurts more than finding $10 feels good. This asymmetry governs every relationship, every negotiation, every dynamic of power. Machiavelli knew this instinctively. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But here's the twist modern readers miss. He wasn't talking about terror. He was talking about value. When people fear losing you, they value you. When they don't, they take you for granted. The law of value states this: your presence must cost something. Not money, not manipulation, but attention, time, access, predictability. The moment you become a guarantee, you lose leverage. Think of it like this. A limited edition product sells for thousands. The same product, mass-produced and always available, sits on clearance. Same item, different frame. Machiavelli understood that princes who gave too much, who sought approval, who tried to please everyone, were overthrown. Not because they were bad rulers, but because they made themselves common. He wrote, "Men are less hesitant to offend someone who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared." Translation, people will disrespect kindness faster than they'll challenge strength. This isn't about being cold. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that the way people treat you is a reflection of the boundaries you've taught them. Here's your first affirmation. Repeat this out loud and type it in the comments section, and hit the subscribe button to join the community of great minds so it becomes real. I am not afraid to be irreplaceable. My presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. Say it again. Feel the shift.
So, how do you apply Machiavelli's law of value without becoming cold, distant, or manipulative? Let's break it into 4 principles you can use immediately. Principle 1, withdraw attention strategically. Attention is the currency of the modern world. Whoever controls where attention flows controls value. Right now, you're probably giving your attention too freely, texting back instantly, saying yes to every invitation, checking in constantly, being the one who always initiates. Stop. Not forever, strategically. If someone texts you, wait. Not because you're playing games, but because your time has weight. If you respond instantly every time, you signal that nothing in your life is more important than them. That's not intimacy. That's desperation. Machiavelli would tell you, let them wonder. Let them feel the gap. Because in that gap, value is born. When they don't hear from you immediately, their mind starts spinning. Are they okay? Are they busy? Are they with someone else? That spin is being rebuilt. You're no longer the given, you're the variable. Principle 2, become unpredictable. Predictability kills desire. If someone knows exactly how you'll react, when you'll be available, what you'll say, they've mastered you. And once you're mastered, you're boring. Machiavelli wrote extensively about the power of keeping people off balance. A predictable prince could be plotted against. An unpredictable one commanded caution. In relationships, this means occasionally saying no, changing plans, disappearing into your own world for a day, a week, without explanation or apology. Not to punish, but to remind them that you have a life they're not the center of. Because the moment you become a satellite to someone else's planet, you lose gravity. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos. It means mystery. And mystery is magnetic. Principle 3, create scarcity in your presence. This is the nuclear option, and it works every single time. The less available you are, the more valuable your time becomes. Machiavelli observed that rulers who appeared too often in public lost their mystique. The same applies to you. If you're always free, always around, always the backup plan, you've made yourself abundant, and abundance equals worthlessness in the market of desire. Start declining invitations, not all of them, but enough that when you do show up, it means something. Stop being the person everyone assumes will be there. Become the person people hope will show up. There's a reason luxury brands limit supply. There's a reason exclusive clubs have wait lists. Scarcity doesn't just suggest value, it creates it. Your presence should feel like an event, not a routine. Principle 4, let them experience your absence. This is the hardest one because it requires you to let go of control. Most people are terrified of absence because they think, what if they forget me? But here's the truth. People don't forget you during your absence. They romanticize you. Absence gives people space to miss you, to remember the best parts, to realize what they had. Machiavelli wrote, never let your enemies know what you are going to do. The same applies to relationships. Let people feel what it's like when you're not there. Not as punishment, not as a tactic, but as reality. Because if someone only values you when you're present, that's not value, that's convenience. And you are not here to be convenient. Now here's where most people fail. They apply these principles as tricks, as manipulation, as revenge, and it backfires. Because Machiavelli's law of value isn't about controlling others. It's about respecting yourself enough to stop giving away your worth. It's about understanding that the way you allow people to treat you teaches them how to treat you. If you are always there, always available, always giving, you are training them to take. Not because they're bad people, because you've made it easy. The antidote is simple. Become expensive. Not in price, in presence, in time, in emotional access. Make people earn you. Think about the people in your life you respect most. Are they always available? Do they drop everything for you? Do they chase your approval? No. They have boundaries, they have lives, they have standards. And because of that, you value them. You don't take them for granted because you can't. They won't let you. That's the energy you need to embody. Let's go deeper. Because Machiavelli's law of value isn't just about relationships. It's about self-perception. Every time you overgive, over-explain, or over-apologize, you are not just lowering your value in someone else's eyes, you are lowering your value in your own eyes. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. When your actions don't match your worth, your brain tries to reconcile the gap. And instead of thinking, I'm valuable but acting cheap, your brain thinks, maybe I'm not that valuable. You internalize the disrespect you allow. You start believing the role you've been playing. This is why people who are always available often struggle with self-worth. Not because they're weak, but because their behavior has been conditioning them to undervalue themselves. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Think about that. If you appear desperate, people experience you as desperate, even if you're not. If you appear abundant in options, people experience you as high value, even if you're lonely. Perception is reality, and you control the perception. So the question becomes, what are you projecting? Are you projecting, I'm lucky you're here? Or are you projecting, you're lucky I'm here? Because people will believe whichever one you show them. And here's the brutal part. They'll treat you accordingly. No amount of explaining, convincing, or proving will override the signal you send through your actions. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to be strategic in their generosity. Give too much, and it's expected. Give sparingly, and it's treasured. The same applies to your energy, your time, your attention, and your forgiveness. When you give these freely, they become expected. When you give them selectively, they become sacred. You are not being selfish, you are being self-respecting. There's a profound difference. Here's your second affirmation. Say it now. Type it in the comments. I am valuable, not because of what I give, but because of who I am. My energy is sacred, and I protect it. Let that settle in your chest. Feel it.
Now here's the paradox that makes this principle so powerful. The less you need someone, the more they want you. It's counterintuitive. We're taught that love means needing each other, that connection means dependence. But Machiavelli understood that need breeds contempt, not respect. When someone feels needed, they feel burdened. When someone feels wanted, they feel chosen. There's a massive difference. Need is desperation. Want is desire. Need says, I can't survive without you. Want says, my life is full, but I'd like you in it. Which one sounds more attractive? Which one sounds more suffocating? The moment you stop needing validation, approval, or reassurance from someone, they start chasing it from you. Because you've shifted the dynamic, you've become the prize, and people are biologically wired to chase what moves away from them. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle and the reactance theory. When something becomes harder to attain, we want it more. When our freedom to access something is threatened, we value it more. This is why hard to get works, not as a game, but as a truth. When you are genuinely hard to get, not because you're playing, but because you have standards, options, and a life you love, people feel it, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect itself from traps, and the fox cannot defend itself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. In modern terms, you need the wisdom to recognize when you're being taken for granted, and the strength to walk away when you are." Most people have one but not the other. They see the trap but stay in it, hoping things will change. Or they have the strength to leave but lack the awareness to see they're being used. You need both, the fox and the lion, the wisdom and the courage. And here's what happens when you embody both. People start fearing your absence more than they enjoy your presence. That's the shift. That's the law. They stop asking, will they stay? And start asking, what if they leave? And in that question, your value crystallizes. Let's make this concrete. I want to give you 5 real-world scenarios where you can apply Machiavelli's law of value today. Scenario 1, the friend who only calls when they need something. You know this person. They disappear for weeks, then suddenly they're texting because they need a favor, advice, or emotional support. And you always show up because you're kind, you're reliable, you're there. But they're conditioning you to be their emotional ATM. Here's what you do. Next time they reach out, delay your response. When you do respond, be warm but brief. If they ask for something, politely decline. I'd love to help, but I'm swamped right now. Don't over-explain, don't apologize, just set the boundary.
Watch what happens. One of two things. They'll either respect the boundary and start investing in the friendship, or they'll disappear. Either way, you win, because you stop being used. Scenario 2. The romantic interest who's lukewarm. They text when they're bored. They make plans, then cancel. They say they're interested, but their actions say otherwise. You're stuck in limbo, hoping they'll suddenly see your worth. They won't, not while you're available. Here's the move. Go silent. Not as punishment, as redirection. Pour your energy into yourself, your goals, your life. Post about your wins. Be seen having fun. Become busy. Become mysterious. Let them wonder. And if they reach out, don't jump. Respond when it's convenient for you. Show them that your world doesn't revolve around them. The ones who are meant for you will step up. The ones who aren't will fade. Both outcomes are good. Scenario 3. The boss who undervalues you. You work late, you take on extra projects, you never say no. And yet you're overlooked for promotions, raises, and recognition. Why? Because you've made yourself too available. You've become the reliable workhorse, not the indispensable asset. Here's how you shift it. Start saying no. Not to everything, but to things outside your role. Stop volunteering for every task. Set boundaries around your time. And most importantly, start making your contributions visible. Document your wins. Speak up in meetings. Let your value be known, not assumed. Machiavelli's advice to princes applies to employees. Never let your value be taken for granted. If your boss still doesn't see it, another company will, and your departure will teach them the cost of your absence. Scenario 4. The family member who disrespects your boundaries. They show up unannounced, they make demands on your time, they criticize your choices, and you tolerate it because they're family. But blood doesn't grant unlimited access. Here's the principle. Respect is earned, even from family. Start enforcing boundaries. I love you, but I need notice before visits. I appreciate your concern, but I've made my decision. Be firm, be kind, but be unmovable. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." In family dynamics, this translates to, it is better to be respected than to be walked over in the name of love. The ones who truly love you will adjust. The ones who don't will reveal themselves. Scenario 5. The social circle where you're always the giver. You plan everything, you check in on everyone, you show up to every event. But when you need support, where are they? This is the most painful one because you've built your identity around being the caretaker. Here's the truth. Stop initiating. For 1 month, don't plan anything. Don't reach out first. See who notices. See who cares. The silence will be revealing and painful, but necessary, because you'll discover who's in your life because they value you and who's there because you're useful. Machiavelli's law applies here ruthlessly. People will take as much as you allow, so stop allowing. If you've made it this far, pause the video right now and hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the insights we're about to explore next will completely shift how you see power dynamics in every area of your life. Let's keep going.
Well, now let's talk about why this is so hard to do. Why, even though you know you're being taken for granted, you keep showing up, keep giving, keep hoping things will change. The answer is simple. Fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being replaced. Fear of being seen as cold, selfish, or uncaring. These fears are valid, but they're also cages. And Machiavelli would tell you, the moment you act from fear, you've already lost. Because fear makes you reactive. It makes you small. It makes you negotiate with people who should be earning your presence, not demanding it. Here's the psychological trap. You think that by giving more, being more available, being more accommodating, people will see your value. But the opposite happens, because value isn't demonstrated through abundance, it's demonstrated through scarcity. When you're always there, you're signaling low demand. You're signaling that you have nothing better to do. You're signaling that their attention is more valuable than yours. And humans, consciously or not, pick up on these signals. They internalize them, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. This is called the principle of least interest in sociology. Whoever cares less has more power. Not because they're manipulative, but because they're not negotiating from need. They're operating from abundance, even if that abundance is just self-respect. Machiavelli understood this at a state level. Princes who appeared desperate for alliances were exploited. Princes who appeared self-sufficient were courted. The same applies to you. When you appear self-sufficient, emotionally, socially, mentally, people want in. When you appear needy, they pull back. So the real work isn't learning techniques to make people fear losing you. The real work is building a life so fulfilling that you're not afraid of anyone leaving. Because when you reach that point, you stop performing value, you embody it, and people feel the difference. They can't articulate it, but they sense it. The energy shifts, the dynamic shifts, and suddenly you're no longer the one chasing, you're the one being chased. Here's your third and final affirmation. Say it with conviction. Type it in the comments. I release the need to be needed. I embrace the power of being wanted. My absence is as powerful as my presence. Feel that. Own that. Let's zoom out to the philosophical level. Because Machiavelli's law of value isn't just a relationship tactic, it's a worldview. It's a recognition that human nature operates on incentives, not intentions. People would treat you not based on how much they love you, but based on what they can get away with. This sounds cynical, but it's liberating because it removes the illusion that people will inherently honor you. They won't, unless you make honoring you the only option. The Stoics had a similar principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Machiavelli adds to this, you also have power over your presence, over your attention, over your access. And when you realize that your absence is a tool, not a tragedy, you become unshakable. Because you're no longer afraid of loss. You understand that anyone who doesn't value your presence doesn't deserve it. And walking away from what doesn't serve you is not cruelty, it's self-preservation. This is where Machiavelli and Stoicism intersect. Both philosophies teach you to detach from outcomes, to focus on what you control, to build a self that is anti-fragile, meaning it doesn't just survive loss, it grows from it. When you embody this, people sense it. They sense that you're not attached, that you're not desperate, that you're not performing. And that energy, that quiet, unshakable self-possession, is the most attractive force in human dynamics. Because it signals one thing: I don't need you, but I might want you, if you're worth it. And that's the ultimate power move. Not because it's strategic, but because it's true. So here's what you need to remember. Machiavelli's law of value is not about manipulation. It's not about playing games. It's not about withholding love to punish people. It's about understanding that value is perceived, not inherent. And you control the perception. The moment you make yourself scarce, unpredictable, and selective with your presence, you reclaim your power. Not because you're trying to make people fear losing you, but because you've stopped fearing them. And that shift, that internal shift from need to choice, from desperation to abundance, from fear to self-respect, that is the shift that changes everything. People will test you. They will push boundaries. They will see if you mean it. Let them. Because every boundary you hold, every time you choose yourself, every moment you walk away from what doesn't honor you, you are reconditioning not just them, but yourself. You are teaching your nervous system that you are safe, even alone, that you are valuable, even unseen, that you are enough, even without external validation. And when you believe that, deeply, cellularly, other people will believe it too. So stop being everyone's option. Stop being the backup planet. Stop being the person who's always there. Become the person people hope shows up. The person whose absence is felt. The person whose presence is a gift, not a given. That's Machiavelli's law of value, and it starts today. Before you go, do two things. Drop a like on this video, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure that notification bell is on because we're just getting started. Next, I want you to go watch the video on the screen now about the psychology of emotional detachment and why the people who care the least always win. It's the perfect follow-up to what you just learned, because this is only one part of the puzzle. The real transformation comes from stacking these principles one on top of the other until you become someone you don't recognize, someone untouchable, someone unforgettable, someone irreplaceable. Now go, apply this, and watch your world shift.